Riot killed Clove. She already had many problems, and after recent nerfs, she became even worse. Her smokes are weaker than every other controller. Her abilities don't really work together. So I decided to do what Riot couldn't. I completely reworked Clove. But instead of just throwing random buffs at her, I analyzed every single ability using a design system that I use for every Valorant agent. By the end of this video, you might actually prefer this version of Clove. Let's start with Clove's signature ability, Ruse, her smokes. Before reworking anything, we have to determine if the ability actually has a problem. And to do that, I always use a 3-question formula for any ability. Question 1. Does the ability match the agent's role and playstyle? Clove is a controller, so smokes are obviously correct here. No problem. Question 2. Does the ability match the agent's theme and power in a unique way? Clove's theme is immortality and manipulating death, and her smokes represent that perfectly, since she can still place her smokes after dying. That's actually one of the most unique controller mechanics Riot has ever designed. So again, no problem here. Question 3. Is the ability balanced? And this is where things starting falling apart. Clove smokes already had the shortest duration in the game, 14 seconds, but it was balanced because she could smoke after death, giving her team utility even when she dies early. However, after the recent nerfs, things changed. Now she only gets one smoke after death, and that smoke lasts only 6 seconds. So the question becomes, is a 6-second smoke after death really enough to compensate for having the weakest smokes in the entire controller role? In my opinion, absolutely not. Let's imagine a very common situation. You place both smokes during a push, then you die. Now you have to wait 40 seconds for a smoke charge to regenerate, while you are already dead. And even worse, because you are dead, your smoke range is limited to your corpse location. So if the fight moves somewhere else on the map, your smoke is completely useless. That means the entire mechanic that makes Clove unique suddenly becomes extremely unreliable. So how do we fix it? The answer is actually very simple. My change is to reverse the nerfs. Clove can once again place 2 smokes after death, and both have their full duration. This restores the original design philosophy behind the ability. But interestingly, even after fixing this, smokes aren't the biggest problem in Clove's kits. The real problem is her C ability, and that ability needs a complete rework. Right now, Clove's C ability activates after getting a kill, giving her a temporary heal and movement speed boost. And again, we apply same 3 questions. Question 1. Does this ability match the agent's role and playstyle? Clove is designed as a controller duelist hybrid, so at first glance, self-heal might seem reasonable, but when you think deeper, something feels off. Duelists usually have abilities that allow them to enter a site and create space for team, but this ability only activates after getting a kill, which means it doesn't help you enter fights. It only helps when you already won one, and that creates a big problem. Clove's supposed to play aggressively, but she doesn't actually have a reliable enter tool. Now some people might say, Reyna also heals after kills and she's a duelist, but Reyna has Leer, which allows her to enter fights and pressure enemies first. Others might say, Clove is a controller duelist hybrid, not just a duelist. And that's true, but we actually already have a controller duelist agent in Valorant, Omen. And Omen has an enter tool, his teleport. Which means if Clove wants to be a true hybrid controller, she also needs a way to do entry. So instead of creating something completely new, I looked at something Clove already has, her ultimate mechanic. When Clove dies, she can temporarily enter a soul form, becoming intangible and repositioning. So I turned that idea into her new C ability. When you press C, Clove instantly enters soul form and becomes intangible. This allows her to push through enemy crosshairs, reposition, and enter sites for her team. But of course, we have to balance it. To do that, I compared it to the closest ability in the game, Reyna's Dismiss. Dismiss lasts 1.5 seconds and gives Reyna 12 meters per second movement speed, allowing her to travel about 18 meters while intangible. But remember, Reyna needs a kill to activate it. Clove's ability does not, so it cannot be as strong. Therefore, Clove gets no movement speed boost and moves at normal speed. However, to still allow meaningful repositioning, the intangibility lasts 2.5 seconds. This gives her enough time to enter site and reach a safe position. For example, on Heaven Seaside, she could push through the choke and end behind safe cover. While doing this, she can also look around and gather information for her team. But enemies can still see where she moves and follow her. And when the ability ends, Clove has a weapon pullout delay. So if enemies are waiting for her, she can still die very easily. Which means she still needs something to protect her entry, like how Jett has smokes for it. That brings us to her Q ability. Currently, Needle is a projectile that explodes and applies decay. So once again, we apply the design questions. Question 1. Does it match the role? Most duelists have a projectile that weakens enemies. Raise Grenade, ISO Undercut, Phoenix Molly. Even Omen Paranoia works similarly, so Clove should absolutely have a projectile ability that disrupts enemies. Question 2. Does it match the theme? And here we see the problem. DK has nothing to do with the immortality or soul, which is Clove's core identity, so the debuff needs to change. There is actually a fourth question that I ask when designing agents. Question 4. Do the abilities work together as a system? And this is where things get interesting. Remember the problem with the Clove's new C ability? Enemies can follow her and kill her when intangibility ends. This is actually the same problem that her ultimate currently has. When Clove revives, enemies just chase her and kill her again, so the new debuff should solve that. It needs to stop enemies from chasing and shooting Clove, but it also needs to match immortality theme, so I looked for inspiration and found it in Clove's cinematic. There are moments where enemies appear frozen, like lifeless bodies, as if their souls left them. So I turned that into a new debuff called Soulless. When Needle explodes, enemies caught inside become temporarily dead. Visually, their souls rise out of their bodies. During this time they cannot move, cannot shoot, cannot look around. This gives Clove a short window to reposition safely with her soul ability. This effect will be insanely overpowered if left unchecked. So there are two major balancing factors. First, enemies in this state are completely invulnerable. You cannot damage them. Second, the duration is only 2 seconds. Once it ends, enemies gain control instantly. So if Clove is standing right in front of them, they still have a chance to flick and kill her. This keeps the ability powerful for space creation, but fair in gunfights. Now let's talk about Clove's ultimate, and honestly, there isn't much to fix. It passes all the design questions perfectly. It matches her duelist hybrid playstyle, it strongly represents her immortality theme, and overall it's pretty balanced already, so the ultimate stays same. So that's my full rework for Clove. What do you think about this version of her? Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe for more if you enjoy agent designs videos like this. Also watch this video where I reworked Neon and Sentinels.